Oh boy, lost media. I've been on a kick recently of watching videos about stuff that was lost to history, so obviously I would think, is there any lost media in the Megami Tensei series? To answer it shortly, yes. The games we're talking about today were released in Japan on mobile phones, so thus when the services they were on shut down, the games went with them. Effectively meaning that if you don't have a phone with any of these games installed on it, you aren't going to play it. Last time I checked, no ROMs exist of these games, and actually I don't think I've ever heard of a cell phone emulator before. Our first game is Shin Megami Tensei 20XX. This game is actually a sequel to Shin Megami Tensei 2, continuing in a future after the Law ending. Apparently, this game has a roster of its own demons and a full story. It was released back in 2004 and 2005, and even had its own sequel in the form of our next entry, Shin Megami Tensei 20XX Devil's Coliseum. The story is about the protagonist from the last game going to save his sister from a maze that used to be their old orphanage. It was released back in 2008 on the S! App Store, just like the previous game. 2004 also saw the release of Shin Megami Tensei F Hazama's Chapter, a prequel to the ancestor of the Persona series that follows the main villain of If, Hideo Hazama, and his ascension into his godly status. However, the thing that inspires the Persona series, guardian spirits, do not return, and instead Hazama can cast magic through his comp. Hazama's chapter also includes a unique boss, Zurvan, which is something we don't really see a lot in these mobile games. Usually they just recycle sprites and graphics. In 2007, the episodic Shin Megami Tensei Tokyo Requiem was released over the course of 6 months. Like the previous games based off of Shin Megami Tensei 1, 2, and If, almost all the elements, gameplay, and graphics were, shared, or directly ripped. The story for this one was another prequel story, starting with the protagonist meeting his girlfriend for a date when he sees Tokyo getting nuked. Our next game, Devil Hunter Zero, was released in 2011. It was probably the most ambitious mobile game based off the original series, boasting over 300 demons, and a mechanic where you can rent demons from other players, as well as gathering demonic crystals that you can trade in for companions at the Cathedral of Shadows. It was released through GREE, but it's probably safe to say that it no longer exists. Devil Collection is the most recent game so far, only being released as far back as 2013. However, it's basically a modern version of Card Summoner, so whatever, I don't care. Did you ever think that Shin Megami Tensei would have a pachinko machine? Well, do I have some news for you.
今ここに降臨パチスロ新女神転生 88% 対応危険がある3択リプレイはジャック・フロストがナビするリールを最初に止めるだけで楽々解。
The first two Megami Tensei games released on Famicom got remakes in the form of Digital Devil, Monogatari, Megami Tensei 1 and 2, Shin Megami Tensei 2, Haiden, Ma to Haukai is a pretty unique entry here. It's a dungeon crawler that takes place on a Megami Tensei's Noah's Ark, with the big bads Lucifer, or Satan, being on the bottom of the 200th floor. The actual gameplay is reminiscent of the original, first Megami Tensei game released by Telenet way back when. There's also a Raido Kusunoha-esque sword fusion function with the demons. It was released back in 2008 for the FOMA 703i and 900i series phones. The Kusunoha clan themselves had a fair number of cell phone games, including a pinball game released in 2006, and the Soul Hacker spin-offs Devil Summoner Intruder, which takes place on a Devil Survivor form of strategy gameplay, and Soul Hackers New Generations. New Generations remains mostly aesthetically similar to the games based off of, but only asks the player to build a party and fight against other summoners. Devil Survivor got a cell phone game, The Extra World. It's another card game, free to play, Whatever, next. The Persona series has so many games. Megami Ippon Roku Persona, Iku no Tohen, or Goddess Revelations Persona, Tower of a Different Sky Arc, was released on high-end phones back in 2006. It's really just a lot of the same, you're trapped in another dimension, and then Igor tells you that you had to find a way out. Both Persona 2s got their own original mobile spin-offs in the form of Lost Memories and Infinity Mask. Other than the fact they exist, not much else is known about them. Persona 3 has 9 mobile games. 9. The Night Before is an in-browser prequel that takes place the night before Persona 3, and it doesn't feature anyone from the base game. You only get access to a couple personas, but despite that, your level cap as a character is 250, a much greater number than the main game's 99. The game was killed off so the team could focus on production of Persona Isof, which was yet another browser game that takes place in the nightmare world of Quel'Thath, which we wouldn't see make an actual appearance until Persona 5. The game was notable for having personas based off designs made by Kazuma Kaneko that never appeared in any other Persona game, like Spartoy and Kugusu. Unlike other games in the series, you could select your starting persona. The cell phone games based off Persona 3 were pretty limited gameplay-wise. Persona 3M couldn't even have personas level up, and I guess first mission wasn't an RPG, it was a shooter. The graphics are nice though, for a phone game. And there were a total of 3 puzzle games based off Persona 3 that appeared around the years 2007 and 2008. Megami Tensei Chaining Souls, Persona 3, was a Bejeweled clone. Illu's Puzzle is a non-gram puzzle game, and Megami Tensei Kick, Persona 3 as well, a Kick clone. To be honest, I didn't even know that was a thing prior to writing this. I almost forgot about Persona 3 Broken Shadow, which is more or less just Persona 3 themed Breakout. Bet you didn't think there'd be a Breakout version of Persona 3, huh? Persona 3 Escape was a, room escape game based on the scene in the Love Hotel during the 3rd full moon. The last 2 games for Persona 3 were social games, Persona 3 Social and Persona Mobile Online. Persona 3 Social is a fairly simple game. Persona Mobile Online was a pretty decently sized thing. It also had its own system of social links that it called Arcana Points that would level up the more times you team up with someone of the same Arcana. Persona 4 only had one cell phone game, Persona 4 The Card Battle. Yeah, no, I'm not going to talk about that. The most confusing games on this list are probably Devil Children Mobile and the Last Bible New Testament games, both of which are sequels to games that haven't had a title in years. Devil Children's last game was in 2004, while Devil Children Mobile came out in 2011. Last Bible Special was released on the Game Gear in 1995, while the mobile games came out from 2007 to 2010. I just found out that Last Bible actually has 3 more games that I initially missed out on: Megami Tensei Gaiden, Shinyaku Last Bible, as well as Another Bible. Both these games are remakes of their Game Boy counterparts, but again, they're lost to time. Devil Children Mobile at least had some involvement from its developers, in the form of some minor demon updates for the seasons. Some new demon designs were made too, like one for a baby version of Beerith. The Majin Tensei series of strategy RPGs also got their own cell phone games in the form of Majin Tensei Blind Thinker 1 and 2. Digital Devil Saga had a game in the form of Digital Devil Saga Avatar Tuner Ace Test Server. It took place between Digital Devil Saga 1 and 2, and was so large that it required the player to own an SD card to fit everything. Our last game is another unlikely sequel: Jack's Quest Demonic Help Party. That's right, it's another game featuring everyone's favorite trio of creatures named Jack. It was basically a Megami Tensei version of the Mystery Dungeon games. That sounds actually pretty awesome. I would love to play that. Apparently, a lot of these were released through a monthly subscription service called Megaton Alpha that offered unique novels and games. If only it was still operating today, I would more than willingly give my money to re-experience some of these games, if only for pure novelty value. If I ever got my hands on them, I would totally love to post some stuff here, but for now, these games will remain an enigma.